Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another PvP strategy analysis brought to you by Guild Wars 2 Online. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for plenty of other videos, including this throughout the rest of the week. So today we're bringing you a Backstab Burst build thief. This build has become quite popular recently, and if you remember back to the betas, it was around back then as well, and it's an absolutely brilliant build. It's slightly been tweaked a little bit from its original form, but it's still damn good. So first up for the weapon sets, we've got the short bow and one weapon set. This is giving us Infiltrator's Arrow on the number 5, which is the most important skill for mobility for the thief in the game. You can check out some of our videos we have on this channel looking at specific infiltrator arrow jumps you can make on different maps. We're going to eventually cover all the maps with all little glitchy jumps and buggy jumps and stuff like that, as well as just ones to get yourself around the map a little bit quicker. So an absolutely brilliant skill there. Number 2 is a cluster bomb, which is absolutely brilliant. If you don't detonate it, it does some pretty high damage, so you can use that a little bit as well. And the number 1 skill is obviously requires no initiative and just deals some fairly good AoE. It's a bouncing shot that jumps from target to target. So a pretty effective weapon there, but you're mainly just using it for the Infiltrator's Arrow. Then the key weapon set here is the double daggers, which are basically running cloak and dagger and then opening up with backstabs. That's going to be the general combination as you're going into the game. So you're going to be jumping in with something like steel to getting close to the target, following it up with cloak and dagger, and then backstab. You're also going to be fitting one of the utility skills, but I'll talk about that in a moment. So this is the basic combination to get yourself that backstab off. Next up we've got Hide in Shadows as our heal. So we've chosen this mainly because it's the most powerful burst heal for the thief. You could possibly go for withdraw, but you then lose the ability to enter stealth as well, and you then can't get the backstab off more often. Obviously gives you another 30 seconds option to get another backstab off, having Hide in Shadows, so a fairly effective one. Withdraw is reasonable if you want a more repetitive heal, if you feel yourself you need a bit more survivability. Sorry, your health is going down a bit more often, but you're actually dying. Withdraw would be better, but obviously Hide in Shadows is more of a big burst heal, and it's actually the regeneration while you're in stealth as well. For the utility skills, we've gone for Devourer's Venom, which means your next 2 attacks immobilise the target. Assassin's Signet, granting increased power when it's inactive and 150% damage on your next attack. So these 2 skills you're basically using in combination with the backstab. So I said before you're going to be jumping in on the player, following up with cloak and dagger, and then the backstab. If you're also mixing in Devourer Venom and Assassin's Signet, you're locking them in place so they can't move, so you can definitely get around behind them to get the extra damage from the backstab. Combining that with Assassin's Signet to deal 150% extra damage, so you're getting a huge spike, and it gets even higher when we look at the traits and the rune choices and the sigils that go into this build as well to make it even higher. For the final utility skill, we've got Shadow Step, which is a fairly effective stun breaker and condition removal, and it helps you move around the map a little bit quicker as well and escape sticky situations. The elite skill going on with Thieves Guild, this is because basically the Venom is rubbish, it's an absolutely terrible skill still, and Dagger Storm is an AoE around you, but you actually you can't really defend yourself while you're doing it. You get stability, but you're going to take quite a bit of damage, and this is such a squishy build you can't really use that. Whereas Thieves Guild gives you an option as well for killing other players, so this build is quite hard to finish someone off when they're in a down state if you're fighting more than one opponent, which does tend to happen quite often, but with the Thieves Guild you can call that up and they'll dish out damage to the down player, and they'll kill them pretty much for you. Now we're just going to take a quick look at the armour we've chosen. So we've gone for the Runes of Divinity in the armour, plus 10 to all stats, but then most importantly plus 2% critical damage each time. So this is giving us plus 12% critical damage, which is huge. It's an absolutely massive jump, bearing in mind that these crits get really high off this. That's going to make a massive difference. In the daggers, we've gone for the Sigil of Superior Force, giving us 5% damage on there, and then the 30% chance on critical to cause a lightning strike. This is because the high crit chance we've got with this build as well means we're going to be dishing this out quite often. It can deal quite high damage, and it basically scales off of our own power, so that's quite a strong ability there. Over for the short bow, we've gone for the Hydromancer Sigil, which makes you an AoE freeze around you when you swap to the weapon. So when you swap to the weapon and you want to escape, you're swapping to the short bow and then using Infiltrator Arrow to get away, and you're also chilling any nearby opponents who are in melee range, so that's going to stop them from being able to chase you quite as effectively. Over on the amulet, we've gone with the Berserker's Amulet, giving us power, precision, vitality, and even more critical damage. So we've got a huge amount of crit damage coming in there. And you can see, if we look over here, 62% critical damage. This is a huge jump, but that's absolutely devastating with a 52% crit chance anyway. Very high power, but do notice our HP is tiny. We've got next to no healing power, hardly any toughness. This is such a squishy build. It's very specialist to try and play. So for our traits, we've gone for 30, 30, 0, 0, 10. 30 points in Deadly Arts, giving us Stunning applies poison for 10 seconds. Deal damage while stealing. Weaken targets for 3 seconds whenever you poison them. When applied, Venom's got 2 stacks of might for 20 seconds. Deal 10% more damage if the target has a condition, and dagger damage is increased by 5%. You can see some pretty solid synergy coming into this because we're dealing 10% extra damage when they have condition, and because we're stealing in often before following up with a then combo, they're going to have poison on them for 10 seconds as well, so that's going to give us a 10% bonus in damage there. We're getting 5% bonus in damage there from that last trait choice there, so pretty nice combination, and we're also getting some increased might coming in from triggering our Venom just beforehand. 30 points in critical strikes gives us critical hit chances increased by 5% when health is over 90%. That's not a massive boon. When activating a signet, you gain 5 stacks of might for 5 seconds, which is very, very nice. It's now got a 7 stacks of might as we're going into that backstab, so we're going to get some really, really big spike. Critical hits have a 20% chance to restore 1 initiative. This again is quite effective if we are fighting someone who's got a bit more HP and we don't manage to kill them in the opening combo. You can spam Heartseeker a little bit, and this does have a slight chance to pull back a little bit of initiative to get an extra Heartseeker off at the end. Gain 2 initiative when you activate a signet, and reduces signet recharge by 20%. So as we're jumping into combat, if we're open up already with the cloak and dagger, which has dropped our initiative down by 6, we're then regaining 2 initiative by activating that, which is then going to trigger this trait here with 10% extra damage when your initiative is over 6. So it's going to do an extra boost of damage right in there, which is really, really strong. So it's obviously giving us now a massive boost on these percentage increases on our damage, which is really, really helpful. And 100% critical hit chance when you're in stealth, so we're 100% guaranteed to crit on that backstab. 10 points in trickery gives us stealing grants as free initiative, which isn't really that useful because we're generally using steal as an opener rather than part of the actual combo towards the end, so it's not really too helpful, but it can help a little bit, I suppose. And then Thrill of the Crime. When you steal, you and your allies grant Fury, Might and Swiftness for 10 seconds, so again we're getting Might there once again, so we're getting a nice big stack of Might into that combo. We're going to get into the start of the match now. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So as you can see, we're going to be on the Legacy at the Faux Fire for this match, and the red team coming out the gate now with 2 warriors, a ranger, a guardian, and ourselves, this roaming backstab thief, and we're coming towards the central point and bringing some seriously high critical mass. 4 players heading towards the centre is pretty high, 1 heading over towards the quarry. It's going to put us in a fairly solid position, a very strong position on this point, but obviously we're applying no pressure at all over at the waterfall, so they're definitely going to get a cap over there. We had some rendering issues you'll see at the start of this match. Actually, we're fighting this Elementus at the moment. If you look slightly to the left of our player, you see a guardian suddenly appearing there. It's quite strange. I'm not sure if it was down to the client or whether it was our computer or not, but yeah, we had a bit of a problem there. You can see us also there getting a combo field being triggered from our blast finisher combined with the shield that Guardian laid down, which is giving some condition removal, which is helpful as well. So we tried to get our backstab in there on the Elementalist, trying to focus one of the squishier targets, but he managed to dodge out the way of it, which stopped us from getting the effect. But we're shadow stepping in there, back into the fight. We've also got the escape shadow step set up, and we're doing a 5.5k crit with a backstab on that Guardian as well, which is hurting him pretty badly. We're getting focused now by the range that was hitting us from behind us. We're going to jump out of the combat and give ourselves a chance to heal up. This build is very, very squishy. I need to be doing things like that, moving around as much as possible. So we can see now there's 2 players down for the blue team, but obviously this is one of the challenges of structured PvP, is managing to get good finishes off on people. You can see there we're focusing the Guardian rather than the other 2, because the other 2 are a lot squishier and easier to bring down. If we play down the Guardian anyway, then we can just focus down the other 2 now. We've got a Fear Bomb back there. I think that was via the wolf pet of that ranger. Again, we're in the short bow a little bit too long there. We now switch into the double daggers and coming in, trying once again to get the cloak and dagger off. Missing. He did a good job to dodge out of the way of that. We're then dodging back behind him again with the cloak and dagger, getting ourselves into stealth. We need to now get around behind him. Unfortunately, I think in this tower, yeah, he doesn't actually get around behind him. The cloak and dagger was about to wear off, so it's worth just triggering the backstab anyway to get the damage off. The ranger goes down regardless, and the elementalist has gone down as well. The red team win this fight on the central point. Because of the amount of critical mass they brought to this point, though, they have lost the waterfall completely for quite a while. The scores are even because the red team managed to pick up quite a few kills without losing anybody, which is going to put them in a good position from now on. But the blue team has capped the waterfall, and they're also about to cap the quarry at the same time. I'm going to speed the video up as we head over towards the quarry. We can see a thief on the point at the moment. He's going to pop the stealth, which is a pretty bad move, to be honest. Obviously, it puts him in a position where he can escape and stuff, which he seems to actually do for this fight. But it stops you, it negates your ability to actually cap the point. So if someone gets on point like we did there, we cap it very quickly. We're coming down here and engaging against this thief. So we've got our elite skillers up and summoned up 2 thieves to help support us in this encounter. And we're doing some pretty high damage. That was a 4.2k crit coming in from our cluster bomb without actually triggering the cluster bomb, which is very important. I find it does some pretty solid damage if you don't actually trigger it, if you manage to land it on someone without them noticing. Our thieves also, bear in mind, are really effective at helping to down players, because the unload will actually continue to fire on them even after they go down, or when they stealth, especially as a thief. It just continually fires in the same direction, which is basically how that works. So instead of actually focusing down the thief with the finishing blow, we're actually just going to dish out some damage with our dual daggers. This is basically more effective because the thief has such a powerful downstate abilities to move around and stuff. It's easier to just finish them off like that. Heading back up towards the quarry, I'm going to speed the video up as we get back up here. Just focusing this ranging down with our short bow, staying back a little bit, but just playing it safe. We don't want to basically waste too many of our utility skills in this encounter, as we would like to win it. We've got some critical mass here, we've got some support from our own ranger. I'm going to be dishing out some pretty high damage against that enemy, and he goes down fairly effectively, so we didn't want to waste any of our abilities. Here, this is quite an important moment as well. We stealthed as we came in for the finishing blow. This stopped him from triggering his number 2 ability on his downstate, which would have interrupted us. So it was a good play there to use Cloak and Dagger to stealth yourself, to basically manage to finish someone off without them stopping you. So that's a very good tactic to be used there. Coming back up onto the central point, there's 2 players from the blue team, and this is a very risky move coming in here straight away. We didn't even check to see if a teammate was coming in to support us as well, but dishing out some massive damage to that Elementalist. They're down to hardly any HP as the Guardian comes in to support us and gets him down with his number 5 ability there on his greatsword. He's going to go in for the finisher, as that Guardian has got a shield and knocks us back. Luckily, our Warrior has stability up and he's going to get that finisher off, so great play there from him as we now focus down on the Guardian. Again, coming in with another Cloak and Dagger there. We need him to get into position for the backstab. Triggering off the Signet for the 150% damage, and 8.4k crit there on a very high toughness Guardian. That was some seriously high damage. This build is so strong if you're trying to pull stuff off like that. And the red team now bring that critical master focusing down. He's popped off quite a few of his abilities and now got quite a few boons, as well as retaliation up, so we need to be careful as we're going to be hurting ourselves as we hurt him, so that's something to bear in mind. But it's where these sort of builds that do deal really big high hits are a little bit better against people with those sort of boons like retaliation. He's gone down fairly effectively. I'm going to speed the video up to a more normal speed as we just bring down this thief over here. So we're just coming up and trying to push him off the ledge, basically, just using our short bow to apply some pressure to make him move down. Now he's come down, he's going to be in a very risky position. Using our number 5 there just to kite back to get ourselves out of a danger zone that would have been around that stealth area, as he might have come out of stealth with a backstab, which would certainly have hurt us pretty badly. Again, we're getting some rendering issues here involving that Elementalist once again. This is a weird problem. I'm going to be looking into it, see whether it's our computer or whether it was just in the actual game itself, in the client of the game. Again, there we had put down that Elementalist incredibly quickly, and now focusing on the Guardian. The Guardian's already gone in for the trying to get the rally without applying any CC to us, and he's going to go down as well, which was a big mistake. That Warrior who was with us was supporting us very effectively, and we actually here make a decision. You've got the Guardian back there and the Elementalist down here. That Elementalist got out of range of our teammates' line of sight, so we decided to focus down the Elementalist first, as they were more likely to get the rally off, and the Guardian back there would likely be finished off very quickly. So now we're heading back up around towards the quarry. I'm going to speed the video up once again as we head over there. That Ranger is back on point. You notice the red team is just a pug team. We're not actually holding down any points very effectively, which is a bit of an issue throughout this match. Just slow down the video as we come into this encounter. So jumping in on there, he's done some pretty heavy damage. He's obviously playing some sort of conditioned trap build. It's hurt us pretty hard. We're down to 2.5k HP. Got a 10 stack of bleeding on us as we pop off here, hiding in shadows, trying to escape, and use our shadow step as well to pull ourselves back out of the fight a little bit. Now here we're just trying to line of sight. Our teammates coming to support us. We're popping off our elite skill to summon up our thieves guild, and then coming in to try and focus down this ranger. So that was a good point to fall out there, and great support there from our teammate ranger to come in and support us at that moment. Again, we got our thief skill up here, so the elite skill, which is obviously firing him even though we couldn't see him then. He's used some sort of stealth ability. I think it's the camouflage at 25% HP trait that the ranger has, I believe. It may possibly be when they get CC'd, I can't remember, it's something like that anyway, but they camouflage at times. So they're down in the downstate at the moment, and this is quite an interesting thing. He's actually going for the rally on us rather than going for the finisher on the enemy. To be honest, he probably could have finished off the enemy in just as good a time. He's getting interrupted and stuff, causing some problems, but yeah, quite a weird one. I'm just going to speed the video up while this goes on. And there we go, we actually eventually finished the player off ourselves. So yeah, he probably should have just gone for the finisher and just killed that ranger and killed his pets to stop the damage incoming on us. As we head back towards the central map, we notice a player is heading again towards the quarry. So that was an interesting moment. I'm just going to skip the video back very slightly. So this element is coming up, and we actually trigger off our Venom here to apply a short bow cripple, immobilization on him. And there we go, it's triggering there to stop him basically from closing the point too quickly, and maybe to force him using a stun breaker or stuff like that. There we go, we've already got down to 25% HP, forcing him to use his heal. He's popped a shield ability there off one of his utilities as well. And basically now we're just pushing him back pretty damn hard, using Heartseeker there to jump in and try and get his stealth, following up a few number 1 attacks in general. Our steel comes up, we're trying to pop trigger off our steel on him as soon as possible. We seem to outrange us though, unfortunately. Speed the video up a little bit. We can see one player down there as the Elementals tried to come in to give them a rally. Unfortunately, he was a little bit too late for his team. And again, we're dishing out some pretty solid damage there against the Elementals, and they're going down in a bad position. They're not going to get much support from their team because of the position they ended up in at the end. And the red team have managed to now triple cap, as you can see across the map, and are really racking up some high score now. Guardian's going for the rally. I don't know quite what my team didn't support us quite as much there, but again we get the focus in, we get a 5k crit there on the Guardian. The Guardian goes down in very quick time. Blue team again pulling it back. They managed to neutralise both those outside points. This is because the red team is just bringing too much mass onto a single point and not defending the outside. So we did see there that point being capped and then the player heading down towards our base. That's something to bear in mind, that they are trying to push down to our Lord. Again, we've got the 1v1 going on here against this condition build Ranger, which is definitely a problem against us if they've got some pretty good sustain on them. We do seem to be able to dish out some pretty good damage, so we should be able to finish him off. He's on very low HP there now. However, so are we, and we do go into the downside, so great play there from him. Our teammates coming in to try and help support us. And there we go, we put him into the down state. We've got one of his pets on us, however, so we're hoping to now get him down before we go down. It's going to be very, very tight. See, our teammate there made the wrong decision. They should have gone for the rally on us. The pet was dealing some pretty high damage to us, and he's now going to have to fight that encounter by himself. It was unfortunate that we went down, actually. We should have managed to have won that fight, but because of those traps there beforehand, and we didn't see him laying down those traps, they gave him a pretty solid advantage. On the upside, however, this has put us back in our base in good position to now stop the enemy team from killing the guild lord. The thief down here kiting him around using a short bow, but however, we do know that the short bow thief is not going to be able to dish out a huge amount of damage. We can now support our guild lord and hopefully bring down this player before they do. Coming in with the dual daggers there, cloak and dagger. Backstab there with a 6.2 crit, I believe that was, and he goes into the down state. So good play there to actually come back in time in a way that death actually really served our team very, very well. Going to speed the video up as we just basically finish off this player. Basically here as well, we're biding our time and not finishing him off too quickly, as you don't want him to be able to respawn too quickly. The respawn timer wasn't actually done too well there. You should have waited another 5 seconds or so before finishing him off. The biggest problem here was our team just rushed back. You can see in chat we did put out the words "it's safe" to try to tell them not to come back. But yeah, they all came rushing back for some really strange reason, and that basically caused some problems on our map control for the rest of the map. Again, we saw a slight rendering issue there against that thief, but he gets spiked down incredibly quickly, and it's no longer a problem. Slowing down the video once again, we've got 2 players heading towards us now, and a 2v1 encounter is not what this build is made for. We're out in the open, we've got no support from our teammates. This is going to be a very risky encounter indeed. So we're coming in with a cloak and dagger there. We've summoned up our elite skill as well to try and support ourselves, but we're getting hit by a hell of a lot of his traps. That's dishing out some pretty deadly damage to us as we try to escape there using our Shadow Step ability. Again, we've got the return there, so we're returning back to get our range as some support now from our team comes up to help us. So we basically just stopped them there from getting on point too quickly and kept them sort of trapped up in this area, which is not what this build is for, but you've got this occasionally you have to make that kind of call where you decide that you're actually just going to stop them from getting on point as much as possible and try to keep them distracted. Again, now they're focusing on us pretty hard. We're trying to fall back. Unfortunately, we had some conditions on us there, and the short bow 5 was not enough to help us escape completely. Our teammate doing a good job here though of coming in to try and support us, dishing out some damage on that Guardian. We're able to move out of the way and try to escape the range of his AoE finisher, but it does bring us down anyway. And I'm going to speed the video up as we respawn. Luckily, our respawn timer there was very, very good, and we got back up on our feet very quickly. If you're unaware, respawn timers are at 58, 38 and 18, so that's what you want to be looking out for and bearing in mind when you're finishing off players. 2 players now on our Guild Lord, so they're basically going for this finish to try and do that, but we're bringing down the Elementals incredibly quickly with some support from our team, trying to keep this Guild Lord alive. The red team are very close to winning, so just trying to basically just support as much as possible and not let them get this finisher off. Ice Elemental's up, still dishing out some pretty strong damage against our teammate. We've got to finish off, against the Guilder, we've got to finish off that Elemental slicing quickly, and the rest of the team need to be recapping those points. Problem is, once again, they're no doubt falling back at the moment, because you can see in chat again, calling out to fall back the entire team. Well, you don't need to do that. The only time you're ever going to really fall back your entire team is if they've sent all their team down there, or they're really, really close to getting it. At a time like this, we're easily in control of this encounter. You see both players there, the thief being brought down and the Elementus being taken care of actually by the Guild Lord itself. Again, we're saying in chat that it's safe, and I'm going to speed the video up as we bring down both of these players. So again, you can just see, if you look at the mini-map, that warrior coming back, just not paying too much attention. So you need to be reading the chat, especially if you're not on vent. This was just a pug team, so it's pretty hard to communicate at times. But yeah, the red team have got some pretty close score now anyway. They're 2 points away, so they're going to take the victory. And it was a pretty interesting game in general. I mean, we got 14 kills there. We did a fairly good job of roaming around, and didn't sound like some pretty good damage. A bit too much short bow play in that, I would say. But the short bow is still very effective. Like I said, if you're triggering off that number 2 ability and not blowing it up, you just have some pretty high damage. And obviously number 5 makes you very, very mobile, but you don't want to be staying there too long, because the main rotation is all in the dual daggers combined with those utility skills. So I hope you've enjoyed this video very, very much. We've got a great video coming out this Wednesday. It's part 2 of our look at combos, so don't forget to check that out. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.